Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. So on today's video tutorial, guys, we are going to be having a look at the grade 11 mathematical literacy paper 1 that was written in November 2022 by the Eastern Cape Province learners, right? And in today's video tutorial, guys, we are going to be having a look at question 2.1 as well as question 2.2, right? And I'm going to be basically focusing on these two questions, right, in this tutorial, because these two questions basically deals with finance. Okay, we're going to be analyzing information that is basically given to us, where we basically given a document of some sort that basically gives us retirement estimates, right? And so question 2.2 is also still under the topic of finance, right? And it focuses more on your cost price, selling price, and also calculating profit. And we also have some amazing ratio questions. So if you know that you struggle with ratios, please make sure that you watch this entire video tutorial, because I'm going to be dissecting everything for you guys in detail. So before we get started with today's video tutorial, guys, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell, guys, so that you get notified every single time I'm uploading new video tutorial, guys. And also, please don't forget to give this video tutorial a huge thumbs up, because that really helps the channel grow and it helps the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks, guys, right? Also, guys, if you really appreciate the content that I'm bringing to you guys, please also consider being a part of the Maths Gang. So without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. Right, question 2.1, it says Aunt Louise, right, an educator, compares the pension fund estimations for the year 2021 and 2022. She wants to resign at the end of 2022. Study the information below and answer the questions that follow. Okay, so we're obviously told about Aunt Louise, who is an educator, a teacher, right? And she basically wants to resign at the end of 2022. And we need to basically look at the information that is given below here and answer questions pertaining to that. So we are given the normal retirement estimated for the years 2022 and 2021. Okay, we are told the monthly pension annuity payable. We are given the monthly pension annuity that is payable, right, as 26,383 in 2022 and 25,591 in 2021, right? We are given the lump sum gratuity, right, for the both the years. We are given the discharge monthly pension payable, right? For the 2 years, we're given the discharge lump sum gratuity payable, right? For the 2 years, we are given the monthly pension annuity payable to your spouses. Okay, so your husband or your wife. So spouse is your husband or wife, right? We are given the lump sum gratuity payable to beneficiaries, right? And we are given the resignation benefit. Okay, so just to clarify the terms that are given to us, what is an annuity? What is a gratuity? Okay, an annuity, guys, is a fixed sum of money that is paid to someone each year. Okay, and this is typically for the rest of their life. Okay, and a gratuity, right, this is just an amount, right, that is basically paid to someone. Okay, so I think we had to obviously clarify those, because I think someone is probably confused about the meanings of those words. Okay, so let's have a look at question 2.1.1. It says write down the value of the lump sum payable to beneficiaries in 2021. Okay, so here we want to find the value of the lump sum that is payable to beneficiaries. Okay, so we're going to look for where a lump sum that is payable to beneficiaries in the year 2021. Okay, so in this row, guys, we are basically told about a lump sum that is what? Payable to beneficiaries. However, we want to focus on which year? We want to focus on the year 2021. 2021. Okay, so therefore, the lump sum that is payable to beneficiaries in the year 2021 is 2,470,783. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. All right. So the lump sum is 2,470,783. Question 2.1.2 says the resignation benefits for the year 2021, right? Okay, is 166,417 less, right, than 2022 benefits. Calculate the resignation benefits for the year 2021. Okay, so with this question, they're basically telling us that, okay, we are focusing on which column? We are focusing on the resignation benefit. The resignation benefits for the year 2021, right, is 166,417 less, okay, than the 2022 benefits. We need to calculate the resignation amount for the year 2021, right? We already told that now. The amount for 2021, right, is 166,417 less than this amount. So that basically means that for us to be able to get the amount for 2021, all that we need to do is we need to take the 2022 amount, right, of 2,836,836, and we subtract the 166,417, okay, and that will basically give us the amount for the resignation benefit amount for 2021. Okay, so if you punch that into your calculator, you'll get that the resignation amount is, okay, you'll find that the resignation amount is 2,670,419. Okay, let us have a look at question 2.1.3. It says calculate the annual amount for the year 2022 that Aunt Louise will receive for the monthly pension. Right, so for this question, where are we going to basically focus our attention, right? So we're already told that we need to basically determine, okay, the annual amount for the year 2022 that Aunt Louise will receive for the monthly pension, and we need to round off our answer to 2 decimal places, right? So we want what the amount she will get will be, right, the annual amount. So if we're basically given this amount in terms of months, right, for us to be able to determine the annual amount, that means that we need to multiply this amount by 12. Okay, so in this case, right, we see that here the row that basically talks about the monthly pension payable. Okay, so this is the monthly pension payable to who? Aunt Louise. Okay, so that is basically where we're going to be focusing our attention on, guys. We're not going to focus on this monthly pension payable to spouses, okay, because this one has nothing to do with Louise. It's the amount that is paid to payable to her spouse, not her. Okay, that is why in this case we're just going to focus on this row here, the monthly pension payable to Louise in which year? 2022. Okay, then we're basically going to take that amount of 26,383 and we're going to multiply it by 12 to be able to determine what the annual amount will be. Okay, so in this case we're just going to take that amount of 26,000, okay, 383, we're going to multiply by 12 because we want the annual amount, okay, and if you punch that into your calculator, you'll get that the annual amount is actually equal to 316,596. Okay, so now we are not done. They're basically telling us that now we need to round off this answer to the nearest 100. Okay, so how would we round it off to the nearest 100? When you're rounding off an answer to the nearest 100, guys, you need to look at the digit that comes before the 100 digit. Okay, we know that. Okay, I'm just going to write it here. This is 316,596. Okay, we already know that this digit represents the units or the ones, this is the tens, and this is the hundreds, right? So we need to focus on the digit. If you want to round off to the nearest 100, we need to focus on the digit that comes before the hundreds, right? So it is the 9, okay? And this 9 is going to tell us whether we need to round up or we need to round down, right? And if this value is a value that is 5 and above, or a number that is 5 or and above, that means that we're going to round this 5 up. Okay, if this value is a number that is below 5, that means that we're going to round this number down. Okay, so in this case, because this value or the digit that comes before the 100 is greater than 5, that means that we're going to basically round this 5 up. So our answer in this case is going to be, okay, so our answer in this case, right, when you basically round it up to the nearest 100, is going to be 316,600. Okay, so please take note of that when you are doing your rounding off. That is very important. Okay, all right, and we are basically done. Let's have a look at question 2.1.4. It says Aunt Louise claimed that the lump sum gratuity, right? So we're gonna highlight the keywords, right? The lump sum gratuity payable for 2022 is 35,615 more than the lump sum gratuity payable in 2021. Okay, so she is claiming that it is 35,615, right, more than the lump sum that is payable for 2021, right? So what we do in this case, like I mentioned, we have to basically direct our focus, right? So how will we direct our focus? So what is this question asking us? We want to look for the row that talks about the lump sum gratuity payable. Okay, so we're going to see lump sum gratuity payable. It doesn't say to beneficiaries, so we're not going to be focusing on that one, but we're going to be focusing on the lump sum gratuity that is just payable. Okay, that is what we're focusing our attention on, that row there. Okay, right? And she is basically claiming that the amount for 2022, this amount, she's claiming that this amount, right, is actually 35,615 Rand more than this amount. How can we basically check whether a statement is correct, right? All that we need to do, guys, we're going to take that 919,363 and then we're going to minus it by 884,198, right, to determine whether is this amount bigger than 35,615? Is it less than 35,615? Or is it equal to, right? And then we're basically going to make our conclusion. So if you basically punch into your calculator the amount of 919,363 and you minus it by 884,198. If you punch it into your calculator, guys, what are you getting? You actually get 35,165. So in this question, guys, right, you need to be careful, right? She basically claimed that the lump sum for the year 2022 is 35,615 more, right? But what did we get here? We got that this amount is actually equal to, it's not more than, okay? It is actually equal to, right? Therefore, we can basically say that her statement is invalid. It's not more than 35,615, but it is equal to, it is the same as, okay? So that is why we will say that her statement is invalid. Okay, so we're gonna just make our conclusion. Okay, 35,615 is not more than 35,615, but equal to it, right? So her statement is invalid. All right. Question 2.1.5 says give one advantage of an employee contributing towards the pension fund. So what could be an advantage to Aunt Louise contributing or putting an amount away every month towards her pension fund. Okay, the advantage is that she's saving for her future. Okay, she's saving for the future so that she has an income in the future. Okay, so she will be able to basically have an income, right, after her retirement. Okay, so we can basically write that down. Okay, so she is saving for her future so that she has an income after her um, retirement. Okay, so that's just an advantage that she will have an income after her retirement. Okay, so that is it, guys, for question 2.1. Let us have a look at question 2.2. So like I mentioned, guys, question 2.2 is also still under the topic of finance, but in this case, guys, we're going to be working with calculating cost price, selling price, profit, and we're also going to be working with ratios. Okay, so let us see what this question is saying. All right, it says John Matu, okay, sells Samsung cell phones, right? The price list given below shows the cost price and the profit for the different types of cell phones in the year 2021. Study the price lists and answer the questions that follow. Okay, so we are told about this guy called John Matu, right? Who basically sells Samsung cell phones, right? We are basically given now the price lists for these different Samsung phones, right? And we need to now use the information that is given to answer the questions. All right, let's have a look. Right here, we are basically told that he sells a Samsung Galaxy A31. We are given the cost price of this Samsung, and we're also given the profit that he makes from selling this phone. Okay, he sells a Samsung Galaxy A72. We are given the cost price of this Samsung, and we're also given the profit that he makes from selling this phone. Okay, we're given the Samsung Galaxy S10, right? We're given the cost price. So the cost price basically, guys, contains the expenses, right, that are included for him to basically come up with the price of selling that phone. So that is what the cost price is. And then we are given the profit that he makes from selling the phone. And we're also given the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, given the cost price, right? So in the cost price, you'll find maybe to transport this phone from a particular warehouse to his store. Okay, there's transportation costs involved in the cost price and so on and so forth. Those are the amounts that are included in the cost price, right? So the cost of now being able to sell this product, that is the cost price. Then we're also given the profit there. Okay. Question 2.2.1 says determine the selling price of the Samsung Galaxy A72, right? So here we want to be able to determine what is the selling price of the Samsung Galaxy A72. So we're going to direct our attention on the Samsung Galaxy A72, right? And we want to determine what is the selling price. However, what is given to us here, guys, we're just given the cost price and we're only given the profit. So how do we determine the selling price? Okay, so this is question 2.2.1, right? Guys, we already know that when you're basically working with values that have profit, that have a cost price, right? We already know that we're working with a particular formula, right? Where we basically, for us to be able to determine now a selling price, we know that, okay, a profit that you get, how do you basically get the profit, right? Profit is calculated by taking your selling price minus the cost price. Okay, so the selling price is how much you are selling your product for, and then minus your cost price. Okay, so in this case, guys, what is your selling price, right? We don't know what it is. Okay, in this case, we are only just given the profit. Okay, what is the profit for the Samsung A72? His profit is 2,499. Okay, so we're going to take the profit of 2,499, right? 75 cents which is equal to, what is the selling price? The selling price is what we want, no? Okay, so the selling price is what we're trying to basically determine, okay? And then minus, what is the cost price for your Samsung Galaxy A72? The cost price is 7,499.25 cents. Okay, so all that we need to do now, guys, we just want to isolate the selling price so that we are able to determine what is the selling price for your Samsung Galaxy A72. Okay, so what do we do for us to basically isolate our SP, right? If you basically minus here for us to get rid of the negative 7,499.25, you plus by 7,499 rand and 25 cents. If you've plussed by it on this side, you also need to plus by 7,499.25 cents on the right hand side, right? Therefore, if you basically take your 2,499.75 plus, right, your 7,499.25 cents, you'll get what the selling price is for your Samsung. A72. Okay, so if you punch this into your calculator, guys, you'll get that your selling price for your Samsung is actually equal to 9,999 rand, and that is it. Okay, and we are basically done. All right, let's have a look at question 2.2.2. It says determine the ratio, right, in simple form of the total profit to the total income from the sale of the 4 cell phones, right? So we want to basically determine the ratio. Okay, so what I always say to my matric learners is that when you basically given ratio questions, these questions tell you exactly what you need to do, right? It tells you want to basically determine the ratio in the simplest form of the total profit to the total income, right? So that 2 there basically tells us that, okay, we want the, okay, let me just write it down. This is question 2.2.2. Okay, we want the ratio of what? The total profit to. So that 2 basically says that we put what? Our colons, right? To the total income, right? In simplified form. So what we need to do is we need to determine what is the total profit? What is the total income? And then we're going to now put it into our ratio and then get it in simplified form. And if we want it in simplified form, we want it in the form of 1:something, right? And that is basically going to be our starting point. Okay, so let's just start off by calculating the total profit. How do we calculate the total profit of the 4 cell phones that he basically sells, right? You're going to add up all these profits that are given. You're going to take that 1,099 rand and 75 cents plus 2,499 rand and 75 cents plus 3,699 rand and 75 cents plus the profit of 7,249 rand and 75 cents. We're going to add up all these profits together to get what the total profit is going to be, right? Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so if you punch all these values, guys, in your calculator, you'll get that the total profit is actually equal to 14,549. That is basically the total profit. However, guys, we are not done. We still need to determine the total income. How do we get the total income? What is the total income, right, that John Matu gets from selling the 4 phones, right? How do we determine income? Okay, so guys, remember when we started this video tutorial, I basically explained that for us to basically get the profit, right, we basically take right, your selling price, right, and you minus your cost price, right? So what is the selling price? Your selling price is the same as the income that you get from basically selling your phones, right? So we can also just look at it as profit is also equal to income minus your cost, right? So in this case, what we're trying to do is now we're trying to determine how can I then basically calculate the income that, or the total income that Ujon Matu makes from selling his phones, right? How can we calculate the total income that he makes? For you to be able to calculate the total income that he makes, you basically now need to isolate the income in this equation. How do we isolate it, guys, right? You will then need to do the same thing. You need to do the inverse or get rid of the cost on the right hand side. So how do we get rid of it on the right hand side? We will just add the cost, right? If you add the cost on the right hand side, that means that we're going to add the cost on the left hand side, meaning for us to be able to get the income or the total income, all that we need to do, we're going to say that the income is equal to the profit plus the cost, right? So that is what we're trying to do for us to be able to determine the total income. That is what we need to do. Okay, so what are we going to do in this case, right? We're going to add up the cost plus the profit, because if you add cost and your profit, that gives you the income. This is the income. If you add these two values together, that'll give you the income for selling your Samsung Galaxy A1, right? I mean A31. If you add these two values, that will give you the income for selling the Samsung Galaxy A72. If you add these two values together, that will also give you the income for selling the Samsung Galaxy S10. And if you add these two together, that will also give you the income for selling the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, right? So therefore, for us to get the total income, we just need to add up all these values and we will basically be able to then find the ratio. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, therefore your total income is going to be equal to, so now I'm just going to take you through the process where I'm just adding up all these values together and then we are going to get our answer. Okay, so if you punch this into your calculator, you'll get that the total income is 58,196. Okay, that is the total income that Omatu will get from basically selling these cell phones. However, guys, we're not done. Remember, we're trying to get the ratio, right? And we already started the question by saying that to get the ratio, obviously it's going to be the ratio of the total profit to the total income, right? In this case, we already now calculated what the total profit is, and the total profit, guys, we found it to be 14,549. 2. What is the total income? We found that our total income is equal to 58,196. However, I further on went on to say that if they say you basically need to determine the ratio in simplified form, you want the ratio in the form of 1 is to something, right? And for us to get it in the form of 1 is to something, that means that we need to divide the left hand side by 14,549. And what you do on the left hand side, guys, you also need to do on the right hand side. Okay, basically, and then that basically gives you 14,549 divided by 14,549 is 1, right? Is 2, and then 58,196 divided by 14,549, right? The rands and the rands cancel, guys. We're not going to have units of rands in our ratios, right? And then you'll see if you punch 58,196 divided by 14,549 into our formula or into our into our calculator, you will get 4. So the ratio of the total profit to the total income from the sale of the 4 phones in simplest form is then 1:4. Okay, and that is our final answer. All right, let us have a look at the last question. Question 2.2.3. It says John Matu ran out of the cheaper phones, right? He placed an order for the cell phones A31 and A72 in the ratio A31 to A72, which is equals to 2:1. A total of 15 cell phones were ordered. Verify with the necessary calculations that the total cost price for the order was 70,488 Rand and 75 cents. So what is this question actually asking for us, right? So with this question, we're basically going to have to work with the ratio that is given to us to determine or to verify, right, whether the total cost for the order was 70,488, right? So where do we even start, okay, with this question, right? We already told that in this case, I'm just going to move this up here, right? That he ran out of the cheaper phones and he decided to buy cell phones or place an order for cell phones, right? And these cell phones were the A31 and the A72, right? In the ratio of A31, this is question 2.2.3, in the ratio of A31 to A72, right? So basically, this ratio will be able to help us determine the number of A31 cell phones that he bought and the number of A72 cell phones that he bought, right? So what do we need to do? Already here, guys, we're given the ratio 2:1. So we need to basically determine the total. So the total, right, is 3. So to determine the number of A31s that he bought, right, we need to determine how many A31s are contained in that 15 cell phones, right? So we want to determine what is 2/3 of 15, okay, to determine how many A31 phones he bought. What is to determine the number of A72 phones he bought, right? We want to determine what is 1 out of 3 of that 15, right? Cell phones that he bought, right? Because by doing this, right, we would have now worked with the ratio that is given to us to help us determine the number of A31s that were contained in the 15 and the number of A72s that were contained in the 15. And we already know we've got 2/3 of the A31s are 2/3 of the 15, and the A72s are the 1/3 of the 15, right? And here, what do you already know? When you see the word of, that means that we are multiplying. So 2/3 multiplied by 15 will basically tell us how many A31 phones he bought, right? And 1 out of 3 multiplied by 15 will tell us how many A72 cell phones he bought. Okay, so 2/3 multiplied by 15, that will basically mean that he bought 10 A31 cell phones, right? And then if you basically take 1/3 and you multiply it by 15, okay, you will get that he actually bought 5 A72 cell phones. However, guys, we are not done, right? The question was asking us to confirm whether the cost price for these cell phones was actually in fact 70,488 Rand and 75 cents, right? So how are we going to confirm that amount? We already know that he bought 10 A31 cell phones. So now, for us to be able to determine the cost price of these A31 cell phones, right, we need to first find what was the cost price for the A31, right? And once we basically determine what the cost price is, then we're going to multiply that by 10 to determine what the cost price was for the 10 A31 cell phones. Then we're going to determine what is the cost price for the A72, right? And then from there, we're going to multiply it by 5 to determine the cost price for the 5 A72 cell phones. Okay, so let's just do that. We're going to have a look at the information that was given to us, right? And then we're going to see what was the cost price for the A31. Okay, the cost price was 3,299 rand and 25 cents. Okay, what is the cost price for the Samsung or the A72s, right? The cost price was 7,499 rand and 25 cents. Okay, now all we need to do now, we're gonna basically take the cost price. Okay, therefore we're gonna just say the total cost price. Okay, it's gonna be that the 10 A31 cell phones multiplied by the cost price for the A31s, right? And then what was the cost price? We already said that is 3,299 rand and 25 cents. Then plus, we're going to find the total cost price for the A72s, right? We already know that he bought 5, so you're going to take that 5, you multiply it by what is the cost price for the A72, which was 7,499 rand point 25 cents. If you punch this into your calculator, you'll see that the cost price, okay, for the total cost price for the A31 was actually equal to 32,992.50 cents plus the cost price for the A72s is 5 times 7,499.25, okay, which is 37,496.25. If you add these two values together, you'll find that the total cost price that the total cost price was actually equal to 70,488.75 cents. Okay, and what was his initial statement, right? His initial statement, he was saying that, okay, the total cost price for the order was 70,488 and 75 cents. And we also proved that that was the total cost price. Okay, so what does this tell us? It basically tells us, so we've basically verified, okay, this value that he said that the cost price was. Okay, and that is basically it, guys, for question 2.2. So I hope I managed to simplify that one for you guys. I think what's important here is this ratio question. Okay, for us to be able to just start this question off, right, we already know that, okay, there's a ratio of the A31 to the ratio of the A72s. Okay, and it is 2:1. What is the total for that ratio? We already know the total for that ratio is 3. Okay, and then we know that, okay, he bought 15 cell phones. Okay, out of that 15 cell phones, 2/3 is the A31, and out of that 15 cell phones, 1 out of 3 is the A72. So we need to determine what is 2/3 of 15. What is 1/3 of 15? And then from there, that is how you basically obtain your values. So if you are able to get that part, then it becomes smooth sailing from there. Okay, so I hope that I managed to clarify that one for you guys. Okay, and that is it, guys, for question 2.2.3. Let us have a look at question 2.2.4, right? We are told in question 2.2.4 that the cost price of a Samsung A31 in the year 2020 was 3,399 rand and 75 cents. Okay, and then we are told that it is costing less this year due to the new cell phone on the market. So we've got a new cell phone in the market, and because of that, now the cost price of the Samsung A31 has basically gone down, right? Now we need to calculate the percentage decrease on the cost of the A31, and we need to give our answers to the nearest percentage. So they've already given us the formula that we can use to calculate our percentage decrease. Okay, so we are told that the percentage decrease, right, is equal to the new price minus the old price divided by, right, the old price, and then we need to multiply it by the 100 because we want to determine what? The percentage decrease. Okay, so in this case, this question is nice and easy because they've given us the formulas that we need to do. All that we need to determine is what is our new price, what is our old price, right? The new price is the latest price, and the old price will be the price that you have in the most previous years, right? So here we are given the cost of the Samsung in the year 2020, right, as 3,399 and 75 cents, right? However, when we basically look at the information that is given to us, what is the cost of the Samsung in the year 2021, right? So the cost of the Samsung A31 in the year, the cost price in the year 2021, right, was 3,299 rand and 25 cents. So this is the cost price. Okay, this is the cost price for the year 2021, and it was 3,299 rand and 25 cents. So which value is the new price, which value is the old price, right? So that means the 2020 amount is what? The old price, because it's the older year, right? Okay, and then the amount for 2021 is the new price because this is our most recent year. Okay, and then we are basically going to punch these values in, or substitute these values into our calculator. Okay, so therefore our percentage decrease, right, is equal to, what is the new price, right, is at 3,299 rand and 25 cents minus, what is the old price? It's that 3,399 rand 75 cents divided by, what is the old price? Okay, the old price is 3,399 rand and 75 cents multiplied by 100 because we want the percentage. Okay, so if you punch this into your calculator, guys, you'll get that you get negative 2.95609 9713%. Okay, this negative just tells us that it is a percentage decrease. Okay, because we see we subtracted a smaller amount, a big amount from a small amount, so that is why we basically have that negative there, that it just represents that it has decreased, right? Then if you had to now round this off, right, that basically means that the percentage decrease was just 3%. Okay, so that is approximately 3%. All right, and we are basically done, guys, with question 2.2. Okay, so I hope I managed to explain that to you guys, right? In the next video tutorial, guys, I'm going to be focusing on question 2.3 on its own, because question 2.3, guys, deals with water tariffs, right? And it also deals with us calculating an amount including VAT. Okay, so if you don't know how you're supposed to calculate an amount including VAT, please make sure that you watch this video tutorial because I'll be explaining everything to you guys in detail, and I'll see you guys on my next upload. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.